Sahanavavatu Sahanam Punattu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Padmavam Vasishtam Shaktim cha Tatputra Parasharam cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogendra Mathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadam cha Hastamalatam cha Shishyam Tam Drodakam Vatikakaramanya Asmadguru Santatamanatosmi Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshadirya Chakraha Sthirairangeti Sushuvagum Sastanuvihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti Nandro Rudrashravaha Swasti Nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti Nastaksho Harishtanemihi Swasti No Brihaspatiः Dadatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Yesterday we left off discussing a very pertinent, difficult, some may say, sadhana that Gaudapadacharya ji gives. And the sadhana that he prescribes is a life of a sannyasi. And that too, not any ordinary sannyasi. He prescribes the life of a vidvat sannyasi, that a sannyasi who has integrated the knowledge and has realized only that person is the absolute goal. The ordinary sannyasi who has taken a diksha for the sake of knowledge, even he does not address such a person. To him, he is also inferior. This is the mental state of this Upanishad. This Upanishad is no nonsense. This is to be practiced, to be lived, and only when we have a clear understanding of the absolute goal will we do sadhanas properly. So, over here Gaudapadacharya ji is not beating around the bush. If you don't like hearing it, too bad. He makes no apologies. If we make enough adjustments in our life to wake up early in the morning and come over here and listen and study this Upanishad, Gaudapadacharya ji wants us to know the supreme goal as to why we do such gymnastics in our life. So he says, Nistuti nirnamaskaraha nisvadhakara evacha, nistuti. Do not live in this world hankering after listening to some colorful language that somebody uses for us. At the level of people, he is saying to regard people's words as very inordinary words. They mean nothing, is what he is saying. Nistutihi. Nirnamaskaraha. Nirnamaskaraha, we make no apologies and bow down to some people for some favors or whatnot. He says no. Mentally be very clear, and in the transactional level, if something is required, they will do it understanding where they are heading, and for the sake of the truce or for the sake of some peace, some activity they will engage in to fulfill the responsibility, but inside very clear as to where I am heading. So this is a Vidvat Sannyasi, a one who knows, and the one who knows has gotten rid of all words by saying Nistuti Bihi, all words. The only word they have retained is Aham Brahmasmi. Even Vedas they have crossed. So even the words of the Shastra, after a point in time, we have to put the Shastra in front of us, close it, bow down to it, and meditate and reflect upon what we have studied so that it can be integrated. This is the sadhana actually over here, the purpose of why such a karika is painted in the last 4 shlokas. So, Nistutibir, Nirnamaskaraha, Nisvadhakaraha. Nisvadhakara, our responsibilities to the family. This body is born out of 2 individuals, mother and father, and having given this body, we have a sense of duty and responsibility towards them. Fulfill it. If we choose to enter a life of a householder, that carnal desires, when they are all bhukta bhogaha, when it is all enjoyed, when children are done with, when we are done raising that first generation, then we have to necessarily mentally walk out. Once we are clear about the goal and the purpose enjoined by the scriptures of this human birth, if this clarity is not there, we will raise children, we will raise grandchildren, we will raise great-grandchildren, and we will never ever see the light at the end of the tunnel, and the human birth goes dust into dust. So, Nisvadhakaraha, our responsibilities to Pitru. Swaha is Devata, Swadha is Pitru. So, the responsibility is born out of a gotra, a lineage, children, all those things. We must complete it properly, but there comes a point in time, a Vidvat Sannyasi is a sannyasi who has walked out on life, taken the vows of renunciation, and does not touch any ritual. Over here, the greatest ritual that binds us is a household life is negated. So, walking out, Chala achala niketascha, achala niketaha chale. in the movement of the body, the movement of the mind, movement of the intellect, all this entire dynamic intellect, there is a presence of consciousness which is not dynamic. It is a static presence. So in the midst of dynamism, always invoke the static presence, and that is the positive responsibility job which is enjoined upon a Vidvat sannyasi, but it is redundant because Vidvat meaning he knows and he abides in it, and never is there any confusion. Gurudev also, upon doing that, Prarabdha asked him to walk around this whole planet, this globe, and talk about Vedanta. And his guru's Prarabdha was just sitting and absolute abidance. If not Uttarkashi, then Gangotri. If not Gangotri, back to Uttarkashi. If not these two, Kailash. Come back. Nothing more than that. So, Chala Achale Niketascha. Once all these things are done, Yatihi Yadruchiko Bhavet. Yadrucha Labha Santushtaha. Dvandvatito Vimatsaraha. All these language which is all painted in Bhagavad Gita, same thing, that whatever the chance brings, abide in it. Household life, after 18, do not poke your nose in your children's business. 18 years are given to you for influencing them. If missed out, at least you don't miss out. Continuing, last shloka of Vaithatya Karika. Tattvamadhyatmikam drishtva.
Tattvamadhyatmikam drishtva.
Tattvam drishtva tu bahyataha.
Tattvam drishtva tu bahyataha.
Tadvibhutastada ramaha.
Tadvibhutastada ramaha.
Tatvadaprachyuto bhavet.
Tatvadaprachyuto bhavet.
This Bhagavan very nicely over here, Gaudapadacharya ji says, Tattva Adhyatmikam Drishtva. This Tattvam, this truth, Adhyatmikam, this truth, which truth? Adhyatmikam. What is Adhyatmikam? The very innermost presence, self, in fact, me, I, me, myself, at the core is Adhyatmikam. Tattvam, the essence of the core, Drushtva, having seen. Having seen over here, having known. We have to add that. Please don't think that Brahman will come, with some Trishul or Damru or snake around the neck or something. This is Nirguna Nirakar. How can you see? Nirgun Nirakar is known. Nirgun, qualityless, nameless, formless, that Adhyatmikam. When I call I, the perceiver, feeler, thinker, I identified with the body, that ego has a name and a form. People refer to us. Then the name and the form of the subtle ego, which is emotional, few people know that. Few people know our emotional ego's thumbprint. And fewer people know our intellectual ego's thumbprint. But we are not talking about the gross ego, the subtle ego, the subtlemost, or the subtler than the subtle emotional ego. We are talking about the subtle most presence is Chaitanya Swarup, which is known I, the Chit Swarup over here is talked about. So having known that I am consciousness, this is on the inside. Consciousness is known always on the inside. Don't look for consciousness over here. The dog is moving, the dog is conscious, the dog is alive, but the consciousness is known over here. You cannot go inside the dog to know dog consciousness. My consciousness, the essence, is the essence of the dog consciousness. So, the dog is seen on the outside, but the consciousness is known on the inside. So this is on the inside. Drushtva, I said, Jnatva, having known inside. Now what is outside? Tattvam drushtva tu bahyataha. And that same truth is known on the outside. Now how can something be known on the outside? That is, the Sat Swarup is inferred to be existence. So Chit is known on the inside, what is seen on the inside, because that Drushtva word is used in both quarters. In the first quarter, the Drushtva is known on the inside. In the first quarter, the Drushtva is understanding the existence principle on the outside. This is how a Jnani lives. This is a sadhana. We have to practice. That is why this is in the section of this is the last shloka of this karika. This section, last karika of this section. Tatvi bhutas tadaramaha. And Tattvi Bhuta, having become one with the reality, knowing I am awareness, consciousness on the inside, and outside is just the existence upon which the illusory objects do their dance and play. Knowing that is what is said. Tattvi bhutas tadaramaha. That person reveling in tadarama, in that understanding, ramaha, you rejoice. That is why Shankaracharya ji says, Nandati 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 eva. This person enjoys. Otherwise, what is there to be enjoyed? Objects are negated. The one which recognizes the objects is negated. The relationship with that is negated. So objects are negated, equipment negated, the one who utilizes it is negated. So what is left over here? This absolute alone remains. In this knowledge, I am the truth, rejoice. I am the truth, rejoice. Asango ham asango ham asango ham. This asangoham, ahamevaham, ahamadvayam. I am this non-dual truth. Outside is the truth as existence. Inside is the awareness consciousness principle, which is not just a principle now, but I have known myself to be I, me, myself, So then how do I deal with this? Outside objects, inside awareness. Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama paino anityaha tam titikshasva bharata. Bhagavan says, Matra sparshastu konteya, these sense objects in contact with the senses will give a rise to a sense perception of Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkhadaha, hot, cold, joy, sorrow. Bhagavan says, Titikshasva, suck it up. Let it be there. A disgruntled boss, a difficult spouse, cantankerous child, what will you do? You'll fight with all of them? They are fine in their places. I am fine in my place. Do the best you can in terms of relating with them. Bhagavan says, Agama apaino anityaha tam stitikshasva bharata. Bhagavan also, Shishupal and all of them, Gali Sahasranam used to come, we are chanting Vishnu Sahasranam. He never got that. So for him it was horrible criticism, not just good. And he is the one who's gone through it, telling us, be silent, bear it. So this is how Vaikatya Prakarana ends. This Vaikatya Prakarana, overview of it. What is the purpose on that this seventh mantra of the Upanishad, Nanta prajna, na bahish prajna, no bhayata prajna, na prajna, na prajnana ghanam, na prajna, adrushtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapanchopashamam, shantam, shivam, advaitam. All this definition, even though this consciousness cannot be defined, yet Upanishad makes a daring attempt to define and corners all pervading consciousness in words. But the words have to dawn into a meaning which can be lived. So over here, when it was as prapancha upashamam, complete cessation of the fivefold element created elemental universe is what Gaudapada Acharya said. The dream state, the waking state, the deep sleep state are all these elemental created experiences. So mithyatva of the Swapna Jagat is done in Karikas 1, 2 and 3. That is what is done. Mithyatva, the illusory nature of the dream state. And he equates the dream state to the waking state. So the waking state is also a dream state, and that is also illusion. That is what was given. Then, Aham Satyam Jagad Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagad Mithya is Karikas 4 through 18. That is what was presented. I alone am the non-dual truth and all else is illusion. This is the crux of the teaching, Karikas 4 through 18. And Shankaracharya ji says, waking is experienced like a dream, therefore it is illusion. And Gaudapadacharya ji says that both the waking and the dream are subject to arrival and departure, and therefore they are mithya. These are the two things. Gaudapadacharya ji says the experience is illusion, and over here Shankaracharya ji says the experience, which is arrival and departure. Gaudapadacharya ji says because it is arriving and departing, continuous kampanam is there, so it is illusion. Shankaracharya ji on the other hand says that waking is experienced like a dream and thus it is illusion. Both saying the same thing in a little bit different way, that's all. But it is, both come to a decision, it is illusion. Waking is illusion, like a dream. So, and Gaudapadacharya ji uses four things: the utility, the externality, the continuity and the clarity. These in different shlokas, that there is a utility, a purpose of the waking state, the objects and all those things. He negates that. Externality, it is experience on the outside, one is on the inside. So he negates outside, inside. But what is experience on the inside was also experienced as the outside and inside over there, because someone understood the outside experience of the dream. So even inside was the inside outside. If you don't get it, don't worry about it. So all this logic he uses and says illusion, illusion. Continuity. He said, what continuity? You only see what you want to see. So all that continuity also, he said, we give reality to the continuity. That he negates clarity. One is clear, one is hazy. Is a problem of the equipment. Whatever state of the equipment you experience, but experience is there. Nobody can negate it. So he negates all these fallacious arguments about false arguments that people bring about why waking is not an illusion. He says, no, it is an illusion. 4 to 18. Then 19 through 29, mistakes people make concerning the reality. What is the absolute reality? The mistakes that people make. Kala iti kalvadaha, all those things. And some people say it is time, some people say it is mind, some people say it is something born out of prarabdha, this, that. It is just, Gaudapadacharya ji says, until the end of time, people will keep on coming with reasons. But they miss out. Who is creating the results? Who is creating the arguments? I am. And I am cannot be negated. I am cannot be boxed. How are you going to box yourself? So Gaudapadacharya ji says mistakes concerning reality, 19 through 29. Then 30 to 34, summary of the teaching. We saw that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The summary of the teaching. And sadhana and phalam is the 5th section, 35 through 38 spiritual practices that he gives. Very important. The summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita is 35. I gave 5 points yesterday and day before. Then 36, Advaitam, 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 one has to come to know that. 37, he brought Vidvat Sannyasi, and 38, abide in the knowledge. Abidance is the fruit. And what is the last thing? That person who abides in this truth thereafter derives the pleasure. And the pleasure is Tatvi Bhutas Tadaramaha Tattvad. Over here, Aprachyuto Bhavet. Aprachyuto, the person is never derailed from this absolute truth. That is the phala. Last line is the fruit. Shloka number 38. This is how Vaitadya Prakarana ends. Now we have in this 7th mantra of the Upanishad, when it is said over here, Adrushtam, Avyavaharyam, Agrahyam, Alakshanam, that something which cannot be seen, not available for vyavahar, transaction. Agrahyam, it doesn't have qualities. Alakshanam, it cannot be indicated by anything. So, how do you come to understand this? So, then the next line came and said, Achintyam, it cannot be thought of. Avyapadeshyam ekatma pratyaya saram. Avyapadeshyam, beyond description. Ekatma pratyaya saram, it is unbroken self-awareness. Then it said prapanchopashamam. So Gaudapada ji thought, let me take this word prapanchopashamam, because this is the experience of the pluralistic world is the biggest thing for all of us. So he takes that and he reduces that to illusion in 38 karikas. Then now he takes Shantam, Shivam and Advaitam. And thus the next chapter, chapter 3 is Advaita Prakarana. Non-dual is what he uses. This chapter, the theme over here is not just non-dual knowledge. What he means over here is non-dual abidance. Big difference. And this is where he starts the first karika. Let us chant the first karika and then I will give an introduction along with it. The first in Advaita Prakarana. Upasana shrito dharmo,
Upasana shrito dharmo,
Jate brahmani vartate,
Jate brahmani vartate,
Praguptate rajam sarvam,
Praguptate rajam sarvam,
Tena sau krupana smrutaha,
Tena sau krupana smritaha.
Now, a little bit of background we will use to understand what thesis statement he is making. And what he is trying to say over here is Upasana ashritaha dharma jate brahmani vartate. The Gurudev's over here, the individual ego taking to the path of devotion, upasana, imagines itself to be related to the manifested or limited Brahman, who is supposed by it as having manifested himself. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna starts his teaching by introducing to Arjuna that Arjuna, there are two types of vision. One is called a secular vision of duality, and the other one is called a spiritual vision of duality. The secular vision of duality, Bhagavan Krishna doesn't address. He said it doesn't apply to you because you want a concise, precise answer to a secular problem, but there is no secular answer for a secular problem. There is a spiritual answer for your secular problem. The secular problem is he doesn't want to fight the war. He wants to avoid it. He wants to avoid his dharma. So, this is what kind of problem? It's a secular problem. All the different kings of different kingdoms are assembled with their weapons and they are going to combat. He's not about to sit down to do a Ganapati Homam over there. It is a war. It's a major secular problem. And Bhagavan says, I will give you a solution. But there is no secular solution. There is a spiritual solution for your secular problem. And spiritual solution that he starts from the basic in chapter 3 is, you take all this world and all these people in the world, and you imagine there is a God. And whatever you have to do in this secular world, you just do it, but you now offer it to the Lord of the universe. And Bhagavan called that spiritual quote-unquote answer to the secular problem as Karma Yoga. That Karma Yoga is a method to deal with the secular world. What does it do? It will not get rid of the problem, but it will allow us to manage life and world properly. And in doing so, now that everything is offered to an imagined Bhagavan, and that person who is a karma yogi, now when all the problems of life, family life, social life, work life, all of these, when the person does Ishwar Arpana Buddhi, when it is done, I am offering to the feet of the Lord, something happens, and that something is the agitated mind becomes less agitated. And in the absence of now fewer agitations, that mind feels good. And that mind which feels good, now that mind goes in the search of the God to whom he has given everything to. That is the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and we call it Upasana. And Upasana is now the secular world remains, secular problem remains, but he knows how to manage the secular problems in the world. Quickly he will attend to the secular problems by a spiritual answer of Karma Yoga, and now that he has acquired peace of mind and some time which he has purchased from it, he will start doing the Upasana to go towards Bhagavan. So now on this journey of Bhagavan, who is this God? Who is my Lord Shiva? Who is my Lord Narayana? A person does now practices which are unique. And these unique practices in the spiritual world all geared towards getting to know Bhagavan has a word called Upasana. And the person now goes towards this. So, secular Dvaita, Jiva, now goes to the sacred Dvaita Ishvara. The dual, earlier the Jiva fed up with the Jagat. Bhagavan says the embodied soul fed up with the world, Bhagavan brought in a third thing called Ishwar. And Bhagavan told him that secular problem, you offer it to the Ishvara. So now this Jiva offers the Jagat problems at the feet of Ishvara. After some time, he is thinking, who is this Ishvara? So now he wants to know the Ishvara. Going on this journey to find out Ishvara, now in his heart, in his mind, he's thinking more about Ishvara than before. He's thinking more about God. And earlier it was Narayana of Tirupati. Now it is not Narayana of Tirumala. Now it is my Narayana. Now he is no longer sitting on that mountain, but he is mine. And the person can just close their eyes and just think about their Bhagavan, and they find so much peace. So much so that they will experience oneness with Narayana. And they have acquired great amount of Shanti. So that nameless, formless Brahman, which has become named and formed Brahman, which is known as Ishvara, now he is hugging that Ishvara with him, and he thinks he has reached. Now he thinks that this Narayana I need to know. Bhagya has for this person to learn Advaita Vedanta, because Narayana will bless. And Narayana, he is hugging Narayana on the inside. Now Narayana also wants to hug him. But the only way Narayana can hug him is by giving him Advaita Jnana. So Narayana will create an opportunity for this person to learn non-dual truth. But the person learns non-dual truth but doesn't abide in it. And this shloka starts from there. See the whole journey. This person got the bhagya to know the truth, because nanta prajna, na bahish prajna, no bhayata prajna, na prajna, all that he has learned. Storm is brewing on the inside about what is this truth. I know has understanding, but no abidance in it. So Gaudapadacharya ji says that is no knowledge. That upasana is worthless. I'm telling you, he is very strong. And you imagine the journey of a jiva to come, do all that upasana and go to Bhagavan, and countless Vishnu Sahasranams he has chanted. Taken a vow to chant 1,000 names. Laksha Archana of Vishnu Sahasranam, not ordinary. With love and devotion. And over here, Gaudapadacharya ji says, what Ishvara? He just throws it out like a rotten banana. So please understand, Gaudapadacharya ji comes from abidance, Jnana Nishtha. And if this abidance in non-dual truth, if it is not ascertained, he says all is wasted. All is a waste. Learning about truth has no benefit if I don't come to know and abide in the truth. So upasana ashrita dharma jate brahmani vartate. Jate brahmani vartate. What jate brahmani? The Brahman which has manifested. What is the manifested Brahman? Ishvara. Okay. And the manifested Brahman, where is it manifest? Don't look for Brahman. It is manifested in the mind as Tirupati Venkatachalapati. It is not just a stone, it is not even a belief without a shadow of a doubt, my Tirupati Swami. Where is he born? In the heart, Jate Brahmani Vartate. In the heart of a devotee, this Narayana has now arrived. How? Upasana ashritaha dharma. Without upasana, Tirupati doesn't arrive. How many upasanas the person has done, and upasana ashrita dharma. Dharma, he calls the ego, the jiva, dharma. Dharma itself. Because to arrive at this place, the ego cannot be a vulgar ego. It has to be a disciplined, sadhan chatushte sampanna adhikari, one who has subjected themselves to the discipline of Shastra, and Shastra is dharma, so the ego is called dharma. Okay? The jiva has gained a new name and a title dharma. Not an ordinary murderer, dharma. This person is a great sadhak, upasak, who has become one with Jate Brahmani, the manifested Ishvara. Prag utpattate, before utpattehe, ajatam sarvam tena asau krupana smrutaha. Prag utpatte. Utpatti is creation. Prag utpatti, before creation. Who was that? Prag utpattehe, over here, ajam. Ajam, unborn. One Brahman is born, which is Ishvara, but before the arrival of the creation, that Brahman which is in the unmanifest state, ajaha prag utpattehe ajam. Ajam, unborn. Sarvam, everything is unborn. And everything exists where? In Brahman. That non-dual, nirvikalpa, nirguna, nirakar, that nameless, formless, qualityless Brahman, asau, that person, tena asau Brahman, that nirvikalpa Brahman, smruta, if that person has not known, krupana, pitiable is such a person. If upasana is done, if spiritual practices are done, and if saguna Brahman arrives, but the person doesn't go further and doesn't go into nirguna Brahman, pitiable is such a person. You know, in the life of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, he had done upasana of mother, and mother was mother. That Mother Kali, everything was my Mother Kali. And the Guru arrives by the grace of mother. And he knows it too, because he's teaching. Whoever comes, he gives little tidbit information on Shastra and all those things. So, Jnani. But his Guru came and said, knowing mother is not enough. He pokes him and says, go beyond, and now you have to kill your mother. Oh. You imagine, not ordinary person, to tell Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, get rid of your mother. Difficult. But higher he has to go. He cannot get stuck in the upasana of Devi. That is what Gaudapadacharya ji is saying, that Dvaita Bhakti is a temporary solution that allows us to manage secular problems. You need a permanent solution for the secular problem of the universe, and the permanent solution is abidance in knowledge to get rid of this universe. That is the purpose, and only Nirgun Brahman can do it. So that Nirgun Nirakar Brahman abidance is a permanent solution to the secular problem of the jiva, where the jiva is gotten rid of, Jagat is gotten rid of, and Ishvara also has to be gotten rid of. This is how this is the thesis statement. 48 karikas are coming based upon this. Get ready for it. It is going to be a bumpy ride. He will shake the very understanding of God. Please do not go home and throw away your altar. Then I will kick you out from this class. That means you have not gotten it. That altar is very much necessary. He speaks from a very different standpoint. Do upasana, bow down, offer naivedyam, everything has to be done. But goal, we have to remember. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukkha bhat bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We will have class tomorrow.